Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and in today's video I am taking a look at the Nintendo Switch in 2023. So I'm going to be reviewing the Nintendo Switch in 2023. So this is not my first Switch, actually this is not mine, this is the family's Switch. I don't really have much interest in it. My son recently bought an OLED Switch which I did review on this channel, and then we got this Switch here as a family console. So I wanted to look at the Switch in 2023. So the console was released in 2017, so it is 6 years into its life. It's well into its expected lifespan for a console, and a successor is around the corner, although there has been no official confirmation of that yet. So we'll take a quick look. Well, first of all, we'll take a quick look around the console itself. So for anyone who has been living under a rock, this is what a Nintendo Switch looks like. So you've got your main screen part in there with your controls flanking the screen, and that is pretty much it. You've got your power button and your volume button and your game card slot on top, along with your headphone socket. There's a charging port on the bottom, and well, a little kickstand on the back to help it stand up. The controllers do come off, and I will talk about that in depth in a little bit more. But there you go, that is what a Switch looks like. So we'll have a quick run through of the specs. So it's got a 6.2 inch LCD which is capable of 1280 by 720. It's got an NVIDIA Tegra CPU. This model has 32 gig internal storage, but you do have the capability of expanding that with a micro SD card. I've got a 128 gig in there, I think. It's got Wi-Fi A, B, GNAC, Bluetooth 4.1, stereo speakers, USB-C charging, which is also your dock port, and like I said, it's got a headphone port on the top. Now this is a hybrid console, so it is capable of being played on a TV, in a dock, but also you can then just lift it off and play it in handheld mode. It operates in 1080p in TV or dock mode, but in 720p in handheld mode. It takes game cartridges because obviously there's nowhere for this to take a CD. It's the first time Nintendo have used a game cartridge in a home console, well, since the N64. So with the GameCube they used those little mini DVD discs. The Wii and the Wii U took full-size discs, but for the Switch they've gone back to cartridges, and I don't have one in here. This is what Switch games look like, and they come on these, well, that one's not in there either. They come on these little tiny game cards, tiny little things, similar to like DS or Vita cartridges. So when originally released they were brought out between 1 and 32 gig, but in 2022 Nintendo did manage to bring out a 64 gig cartridge. So 64 gig is the biggest cartridge size you can get for a Switch, and that's quite impressive for such a little tiny cartridge. So I have not been the biggest fan of the Switch. I've said it in multiple videos, which is a little odd because I am a big fan of Nintendo consoles, both home and handheld, but I don't know what it is about the Switch, it just doesn't float my boat. Maybe it's because it's not backward compatible with the Wii U and the 3DS, and I was big fans of those. But this console here does just not set me alight. It really doesn't grab me. I mean, it's a, don't get me wrong, this is an absolutely phenomenal console. It is the second biggest selling console of all time, behind the PlayStation 2, and even though it is now sort of slowing down and it is 6 years into its life, it could quite easily become the biggest selling. I think the PS2 sold something like 150 million consoles, and the Switch is at something like 114, 116 million. So it doesn't have a huge way to go before it outsells the PS2, making it the biggest selling console. So it is highly successful. The Wii was a huge console for Nintendo at something like 101 million consoles. The Wii U, massive flop. Then you've got the huge success of the Switch range. So what they do next, we really don't know. Will it be backward compatible with the Switch, or will it be something completely different? Could it be another big success for Nintendo, or will it be a flop? We don't know. But the Switch is still going strong, and that's partly due to its hybrid mode. It is really fantastic that you can be playing the Switch like you would like a giant 3DS in your hand, on a car, on the train, and then when you get home think, well, I just want to play that on the TV, and you just simply sit it in the dock and it appears on the TV. There's no downtime, no switching or anything. And the same in vice versa. If you're playing at home on your TV and you think, oh, I need to pop out, you can just lift the console off and take it with you. Let's take a quick look at the controllers. So obviously in handheld mode it looks like this. So you've got a controller either side. These are called Joy-Cons for anyone that doesn't know, and they do just slide off the console. This is what the main unit of the Switch actually looks like, and these are your Joy-Cons. Now you can either play them as two separate controllers, which is great for some games. Some games do allow you to play them independently, or some games even allow you to just play it as one little tiny mini controller. So you've got your little 4 buttons here, and well, your little stick, what do you call it, analog stick, joystick, whatever it is, and that is some of the reason why Nintendo didn't put a D-pad on either of them. If you've got a Switch Lite, you'll notice that there is a D-pad on one side, but for the regular Switch and their Joy-Cons, you've got 2, so you can then play this as a separate little controller, or you could use this one, and it's great for multiplayer games. You've got one console with 2 separate controllers. So you've got this is your right hand side, so you've got your A, B, X and Y and your little stick there and little plus button. You've also got 2 little tiny shoulder buttons, which I don't have the attachment to hand, but there is a little tiny sort of black attachment that goes on top there and makes the controller a little bit bigger, and these top buttons, which are SL and SR, just a little bit more accessible. And obviously you then got your buttons on the top, so you've got your shoulder button and a trigger button, and you've got them on both of these, and that is why there is no D-pad on a Switch as such. So like I said, you can use them as a single controller, you can use them as a pair of controllers, or if you're not using it in TV mode, you can slide them onto the side of the console and use it in handheld mode. So it is a absolutely phenomenal console, even though I'm not massively keen on it myself. So if we take a look at the games, and these are the top 10 best-selling games for this Switch. At number 1 you've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is, well, it came from the Wii U, but it's been repackaged and updated, and you're now getting lots of new tracks. Animal Crossing's New Horizons, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Super Mario Party, which I do have here, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which is another reworking of a Wii U game. So that's the top 10 selling games for the Switch, and there really isn't much more I can say about it. As with most Nintendo consoles, it's highly underpowered compared to its competition. So you've got this is in the same generation as the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, but it cannot compete. It's a powerful console, don't get me wrong. If you've seen any of the games on the system, let's have a quick look around it. You will know that it's a good console, and there were some games that released on both the Xbox One and PS4 as well as the Switch, and it did try and compete. So you've got things like Doom, How they got that on the Switch, I don't know, and Doom Eternal. But primarily, this is a Nintendo console. It's full of Nintendo games. So if I just quickly look through what we've got on here, we've got Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, a game called Arms, which is a little sort of fighting game, a FNAF game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Party, 1-2 Switch, which is this one, some Lego games, and a couple of demos from Kirby, R-Type, Sonic. And there is Super Mario 3D World installed. So it is going to primarily have a lot of Nintendo games on there, a lot of Nintendo franchises. So you've got your things from Mario and Kirby and Pokemon. They did try and expand this into more of a mature console. So you've got a lot more mature titles, but this is a Nintendo console. It's aimed more at the family market, and that's where it sits. So in 2023, this is me taking a look at a Nintendo Switch. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to pop a little cartridge in so you can just see if you've never seen it. It goes in that way, I think. Yeah. And there you go, it just goes in. It's got 32 gig of storage. Games are tiny. Even the updates that you get for it are really small. And it's a great console. I just don't understand entirely why I haven't warmed to it. Perhaps it's because it left the 3DS behind. Perhaps it's because some of the biggest titles on the Switch were ports from the Wii U, which I was a big fan of. But in terms of actual quality of the console, it is a decent machine. They're still holding their price. Nintendo games always hold their price. We were looking at picking up some sort of Mario games for it recently, and even games that have been out for quite a few years, you're still looking £30-40 for a Mario title. So that is the Nintendo Switch in 2023. There have been 4 kind of iterations of the Switch. So you've got the very first one that was released, then you've got this one, which is a V2. It looks identical. The only difference is the battery has been increased. You probably get about an extra couple of hours. Then you've got the OLED model, which has got a nicer screen with less of a bezel, yet again improved battery life and increased storage to 64 gig. And then you've got the Switch Lite, which is a cut down version. It's more of a direct 3DS successor without the ability to plug it into a TV, so it will only run in 720 mode, and there are a few games that won't run on it because you've got non-removable Joy-Cons, so you can't play games like 1-2 Switch, which need you to take the controller off and play it this way and place it down on a table and do lots of fun things with it. So that's me taking a look at the Switch in 2023. That is also my opinion of the Switch in 2023, which I'm trying not to be quite so negative, because it is a fantastic console. Well, I just haven't warmed to it like everyone else has. Like I said, it's the second biggest selling console of all time, so it's highly successful. It's 6 years in and it doesn't seem like it's slowing down at all. We've had numerous iterations and revamps of the Switch just to keep that momentum going. What Nintendo will do with the, whatever they call it, Switch 2, we don't know, but hopefully it will have backward compatibility, because the Switch has a huge library of games that I think people will get tired of them bringing out a new system that can't run their older kit. So it really needs to be able to play Switch cartridges and not just run off the store or you having to rebuy it, because they've done that before. There were a lot of games on the Wii U that have been lost, but a lot of them were ported across, and Nintendo always do it. You've now got the Switch Online Store, or whatever it's called, Nintendo Online Service, and just like previous consoles with things like the Virtual Console on the Wii and the Wii U and the 3DS, you can rebuy classic Nintendo games, and I think people are just getting a little tired of it. Microsoft don't do it, and they offer quite good backward compatibility. Sony are trying to keep up with that, but Nintendo just like to make you rebuy your games, and it was a little different with the Wii because it was fully backward compatible with physical GameCube games. The Wii U was also fully backward compatible with Wii games. It just meant you didn't have to rebuy your library. The same with the 3DS. It could play DS games. The DS, the original DS and Lite anyway, could play Game Boy Advance cartridges. But when they brought the Switch out, because of the change in media, it ran off little game cards instead. It dropped backward compatibility with any system. So no 3DS backward compatibility, no Wii U backward compatibility, and I thought that was going to hinder sales of the Switch, but the power of the console and the whole concept of it being a hybrid machine really was the selling point of it. And as I said, it's not the most powerful console, especially in comparison to the competition, but it is a good console. It's got some serious beef under the hood, and as you know, I am not one of these people that is wowed by graphics. It's all about gameplay. If you're a DS fan, you know that it doesn't have the best of graphics. The Wii didn't have the best of graphics. It's about gameplay and Nintendo's unique selling point. So with the Wii, you had the whole, moving your arms with the controllers. That was what sold it. Wii U didn't sell very well, but that's a different story. And with the DS, you had the whole touchscreen element. The DS was severely underpowered compared to its competition, and the Switch has this hybrid. It's a portable, it's a home console, all in one. That's the unique selling point. But it does have serious beef under the hood. Well, a fair amount of beef under the hood, and it's capable of playing some big title games and some more mature titles. So there you go, that is me. I'm just about finished talking about the Nintendo Switch in 2023. I've got one, or we've got one as a family, so it will be appearing in some videos. I've got a few games that I want to sort of go through and talk about, and I will be comparing this to my son's OLED model, so keep an eye out for that video. But for me, the Switch is a great console, but I'm more than happy to play on my 3DS instead. So there you go, that is pretty much it for the Switch. Just to give you a quick look around of the console. If you've been living on Mars for the last 6 years and you've not seen what one looks like, it is a great looking console. The whole concept of it is superb. I think personally, as a handheld console, it's quite large. But then maybe that's because I'm used to 3DS XL and my Vita, which are a little smaller, but I get why they've done it. Even the Switch Lite, it's smaller, it's got something like a 4.5 inch or 5.5 inch screen, so it brings the whole footprint of the console down, but it's a good console. So there you go. That's my honest review of a Switch. I know I'm a bit late in 2023, but that's my honest review of a Nintendo Switch. Like I said, the V2 model, so it's not the OLED, it's not the very, very first one, it is the in-between with the tweaked battery life. There you go. Make what you will of that. Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.